It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Let's get out of here. Aye.
Hello everybody, it's Brother Aaron from God a Minute. Just going to look at my chart here and flip the camera around in a second. So I've been looking at Feast of Weeks since last year, and I said, hey, it looks like we're going to probably pass all these high times and appointed times. And today we are going to scratch out Nisan 1, and we're going to also scratch out the Triumphal entry, as today, depending on where you're viewing this and when you're viewing this, that's gone as an option for the Rapture. So the next feast days to look at and to consider would be, Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, Feast of First Fruits, Ascension Day, second Passover. But my suspicion is this is the big day. Hopefully it's this year. I don't know what year it's going to be, but I think Feast of Weeks is the best candidate for the Rapture. If we're going to be tracking with days, here's my little calendar I made. So that's basically, Triumphal entry, Passover, Unleavened Bread, Feast of First Fruits, when Jesus rose from the grave. Count 50 days gets you to Feast of Weeks. So this video is actually about 84 though, so let me just turn the camera around and show you some stuff. All right, so the Triumphal entry, there's a cool 7 and a 12 in there, which I'll show you, but why do we care about that? 7 times 12 is 84, 1948 plus 84 years is 2032, the potential second coming. You minus 7 years, you get you to 2025, the potential year of the Rapture. Nobody knows for sure, but this is something I wrote before. Anna, her age was 84 in Luke 2. Jacob was 84 years old when he married Leah and Rachel. Here, let me show you these charts actually. So I talked about that, where this is the picture of the tabernacle. We got 7 branch menorah, we got the 12 table of showbread, we got the leftover of the 7 fragments of bread from the feeding of the 4,000, the leftover from the 5,000, which is 12, 7 times 12. Jesus makes an extra point in Mark 8 to say, hey, how many fragments were left over there, buddy? They go 12. And how about from the other group there, buddy? They say 7. Okay, remember, 7 times 12, 84. When was Aaron consecrated as high priest? Looks like he was consecrated at age 84. Adam times Adam in Hebrew. An aleph is the value of 1. Dalet is the value of 4. Mem is the value of 40. So Adam times Adam and 45 times 45 is 2025. That's really cool. I like that. Hopefully this is the year of the Rapture. Again, I just told you about that. The leftover fragments there's 12 baskets and 7 baskets of fragments left over. 12 could represent the 12 tribes of Israel. 7 could represent the churches. The 2 shall be 1. 12 times 7, 84. Jacob was very likely married to Leah and Rachel at age 84. Talked about that in the past. This is another fun Hebrew thing. The 77th verse of the Bible has Yod He Vav He, that's the name of God, coded in the 77th verse in Genesis 3:21 in equal letter distance skip. Yod He Vav He, you can see that there. And then also the 84th verse of the Bible, Genesis 4 verse 4, also has Yod He Vav He in equal letter distance skip. This is when Abel brought the sacrifice of the lamb that was sacrificed, that was presented to God, and it was accepted by Abel. Isn't that amazing? You were only able to enter the kingdom of heaven by covering ourselves with the blood of the lamb on us. Yeah, okay. And then this is when this is in the verse when he's talking about covering them with animal skin after they sin in Genesis 3. I mean, God is giving us the story of the redemption right away in the 77th verse and the 84th verse. Why is that important? Because it's been 77 years, 2025, since 1948, and it'll be 84 years since 1948 at the potential second coming, and he's got his name coded there. It's almost an example of the first coming here and the second coming here. Or not the first coming, but the Rapture. This one was, we're just pulling it a little bit here and there, just kind of observing numbers, but there was 8 on the ark, and there was 4 that escaped from Sodom and Gomorrah. 8, 4, 8, 4, 8, 4, yeah, 8, 4. 1 went to salt. Over here, 1 betrayed Jesus, 12 of them. So you got this pattern of 12 and 12. And so that's neat too. In the Psalms, Psalms in general. This is the chapter numbers of all the books. But in the book of Psalms, Psalm 67 is the only independent chapter in the Bible, which means there's no other chapter in the Bible that has chapter 67 except for the book of Psalms. Now, people say chapters and verses, they were all, added to the books later, and that's true. But the thing with Psalms is they, I think, are a little bit more prophetic than the other books in terms of the chapter numbers, because they really are independent writings from different authors. So I put a little bit more weight on the number of Psalms, as it could potentially be prophetic. So that's right there. So Psalm 67 all the way to Psalm 150. That means there's 84 independent chapters that are not duplicated in any other book of the Bible. So 84 independent chapters. So, okay, so there you go. There's a little recap on some 84 stuff. So the thing about today was I was thinking about the triumphal entry, and just seeing if I could see anything there that's worth sharing. And you know what? Yeah, I think I did. So in Matthew and Mark, in the triumphal entry, we see another 7 and a 12. So that's in Matthew. I'm trying to find it now. Where did I didn't have a bookmark. Where'd it go? 1 second. Here it is, Matthew 22, verse 23. The same day the Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to him and asked him, saying, Teacher, Moses said, if a man dies having no children, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up offspring for his brother. Now there were with us 7 brothers. I should just pause and say that the triumphal entry was in Matthew 21. But in combination of the triumphal entry, we got this theme of the 7 brothers who married a woman, and talking about the offspring. So we got a number 7 here in Matthew 22, and this is just following the parable of the wedding feast, which is quite amazing too. But we've got that number 7 here, and then later on in this chapter in Matthew 22, verse 34, but when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together. Then one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question, testing him, and said, Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments hang all the laws and the prophets. Okay, so we have 2 outside of the primary 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. So what we have in Matthew 22 is we have 7 in regards to the 7 brothers that married this woman. And then we're talking about marriage. And then we've got the commandments reminded, but then there's 2 ultimate ones, on top of the 10. So we kind of have a 7 times 12 here. That's really neat. We got a 7 times 12 in the triumphal entry. And 7 times 12 is 84. 1948 plus 84 is 2032. We have pretty much the same number sequence in Mark, the next book over. And that is in Mark 12. And that's all basically Mark 12, 18 through 27. And then Mark 12, 28 through 34. Same number sequence. We got the 7 and the 12 repeated there. The funny thing is in Luke, we don't really have that. We have the 7 brothers mentioned in Luke 20, just following the triumphal entry. But we don't see this 12 in this passage. Again, Luke, many people say Luke is written to the bride. Maybe it's simply because it's not really trying to point to the second coming. Maybe it's leaving it open-ended. So Matthew and Mark, we got a 7 times 12. So we have a 7 times 12 in Matthew. We got a 7 times 12 in Mark. We have a 7 times... We don't have a 12 in Luke. It's really interesting. Luke, many people say, is written to the bride, though. But here's one verse that I want to highlight. So Luke 19, verse 44, it says, And level you and your children within you to the ground, and they will not leave in you one stone upon another, because you did not know the time of your visitation. This is when Jesus weeps over Jerusalem at his triumphal entry, and he's disappointed because they did not know the time of their visitation. I think Jesus really wants us to know the time. I think it's a wonderful blessing to understand the book of Revelation. In fact, it tells us that it's a blessing to those who read it. So when he arrived, when it was time for him to be crucified, they should have known the time, but they didn't know. And so us as Christians, I think we should have a general idea. We don't need to know the actual day of the rapture, but I think we need to know the general. We don't even need to know it, but I think he's proud of us when we search these things out. But the cool thing about this video is 7 times 12. We got a 7 and a 12 and Matthew and Mark in the triumphal entry, as it's themed with today, because today's more or less the timing of the triumphal entry when we remember what Jesus did for us, our sacrificial lamb. It's because of what Jesus did nearly 2,000 years ago. He bled on the cross for your sins and mine. None of us are perfect. All right, guys. Love you guys very much. If you want to connect with me and the community, hop into Discord, links below. And if you want to support the ministry, links are below as well. Okay. Love you guys. One day closer. Go Jesus go. And adios, muchachos.